Hello, welcome to another weekend of Punters Guide and Group 1 racing to look forward to yet again. As always, Jason Weaver is alongside. We'll talk about the Eclipse a little later on, Jason, but it does look a race for the age. There's only 6 in it now, but it's the highlight of a cracking weekend of racing across Haydock and Sandown.
Yeah, I think definitely a weather watch is absolutely key, isn't it? You know, because we've got some real soft ground performers that are possibly going to get what they require. Being lucky enough to be just down the road at Yarmouth, it went from on the quick side of good to firm to soft in an absolute heartbeat. So yeah, big weather watch, and it's great. The first clash of the 3-year-olds against the older brigade, and all right, yeah. Aidan O'Brien hasn't got a runner. I don't think it's been absolutely ages since he hasn't had a runner in the big race itself. But that just goes to show that we are strong, strength in depth, and the French come across. So it's a cracker.
It is. I think 2015 was the last time, wasn't it? Yes, it's an interesting one. Looking forward to that. We'll talk about that later. Let's get stuck into the cards then. At Sandown, the opener is the Charge over the Flying 5 furlongs. We've got Rarsell here, who's progressed through the handicaps. Won a listed race last time out. Natural progression is into this Group 3.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at him, what a great job the horse watchers have done yet again. You know, he's picked up for next to nothing. He's gone from 81 all the way up to 108. And he was pretty dominant the way that he travelled. I probably would have wanted to see Dragon Symbol run a bit better afterwards to give it that nice little boost. But he was very, very dominant in winning last time. Now, there are 2 horses in here, I think, that come with a bit of a ticket to improve. One of them is Method. We haven't quite seen the best of him as yet. We don't know where his ceiling is at the moment. But I do think the return to 5 furlongs and Tom Marquand is going to see him in a much better light. So he has to be one you keep a close eye on. And Tippy Toes right down the bottom. Now, I'm fascinated with the makeup of the race, if I'm being honest. She's going to struggle from an official rating of 98. However, she gets all the allowances, the sex allowance and everything else. Probably was one of the unluckiest losers at the Royal Meeting behind Latin Lover. Sylvester de Souza gets the call up. He's taken over in the saddle and she's drawn well in stall number 2. Look, it's easy to put up a Mitbahi who's flying or a Rarsell, but those 2 are going to be cemented at the top of the market. If one of those was just to fluff his lines slightly, and also Tippy Toes gets the run of the race for Sylvester on, I think she's a massive each-way player, around about 10 to 1. If you get a chance, look back at that run at Ascot. She was very unlucky.
Yeah, fingers crossed the dead 8 go then as well. Tippy Toes, all the allowances for Charlie and Mark Johnson, Sylvester de Souza. Right, up to Merseyside for the first time this weekend. Haydock, the 205. It's a staying 3-year-old handicap. And Sir Mark Prescott has one of the market leaders. Normal service resumed.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I look back at the Doncaster win, and he was pretty keen on the way round. That was in a small field, so he's got limited experience. He's been given the £9 hike, and I think he could be a bit of a handful trying to lump around 9 stone 9 around here underneath Luke Morris. Look, he's ended up with what is a good draw. Over the 1 and 6, you imagine it shouldn't matter too much, but, you know, it can play a vital role even over extreme distances. I worked my way down through them, and we have got some real good 3-year-old improving types. But the one that jumps out at me, who also took a £9 hike for winning last time, Double Cherry. Tom Ward and the team, this was absolutely punted off the boards at Goodwood. Didn't look as if he was going to win by a big margin. Then the further they went up to the line, the further he powered away. If Sea King was impressive and took a £9 hike, Double Cherry was equally as impressive and also has the same climb. But he looks an easier conveyance from A to B. And I just think that Jim Crowley will be able to pop him in, drop on the tail of a Sea King, even maybe just sit on his girth and get him a little bit keen in the early stages, or the jockeyship required just to make it as difficult for your opponents on the way round. So Double Cherry for Tom Ward. I think he's a big improver.
Yeah, then Double Cherry, yes, in the staying handicap at 205. Back off to Sandown for the challenge over a mile. This is an absolute crack. We've got Sinjari, who seems to be relishing dropping down in trip. We've got Trey Fleur, who've been saying he's been well handicapped for a while. Again, he's also running check and challenge. And Line Tower, who did you a really good turn last time out at York. He's only 11 runners. lots of opportunities.
Yeah, great little handicap, isn't it? If you were involved with any one of 5 in here, you'd be giving yourself an absolute cracking chance. And that's why it's got a good look about it, hasn't it? Trey Floor, he's so well handicapped, but he's lost that winning habit. That's going to be my worry, isn't it? Sylvester does get back on board and he's back at Sandown. So the positives are there for all to see. Check and challenge. We last saw him in the Guineas. Prior to that, he looked fantastic winning up at Newcastle. Is he as good on the turf? That's the big question mark. And he's going to be definitely cemented, I think, at the top of the market. Sinjari, great run in the big handicap in the Royal Hunt Cup, wasn't it? Not beaten too far. Lion Tower doesn't stay. I can't believe that they're running him back over the mile. I think he's managed to win a limited race over this sort of distance, but 7 furlongs is absolutely key as far as he is concerned. He'll look like winning at the furlong marker and get gazumped late in the day for me. Got to be Uzo. Uzo was a real good horse for Hannon last time. Ran an absolute cracker here on his first try for the team. Put a line through the Ascot run. He ran an absolute shocker. So I have to say that Sappy Osborne on board got a nice draw in 3. Uzo's not quite going to fly under the radar, but he'd be overlooked in the market in this lineup.
Yeah, raise a glass to Uzo then, fingers crossed. In the 225, we're off back to Haydock then for more group race actions. Group 2 this time in the Lancashire Oaks. John Thady God's, of course, been in the news in recent days. They might have a winner here, though, courtesy of Free Wind, who looks likely to head the market.
Yeah, she absolutely bolted up. I mean, last season was great, wasn't it? 4 from 5 victories. She went through Goodwood, Doncaster, Deauville, and then the Park Hill back at Donny for a 7-length win. And if we're being honest, it looks a straight matchup between her and Ashada. Now, Ashada was in against the boys when she reappeared at Newbury. She's a Group 1 winner. She comes back in here without the penalty. So that's the interesting line as to why they've aimed back in here. I can't see the likes of Kawida, Sila Rosa, Stay Alert, Believe Enough, actually just having that extra bit of oomph to go through. So it's whether you think Free Wind's going to have the change of gear or Ashada's going to try and blast off from the 3 furlong marker at Haydock. And it's also ground conditions, isn't it? So I think Rab Havlin's going to be in the pressure cooker. This is one of those Dettori moments, isn't it? He's not here. Can Rab Havlin step into the plate and come up with the goods? Pressure cooker time for Robert Havlin, but he's on a red-hot favourite who reappears. They'll say that she'll need the run and she's going to step forward. She's got massive entries a little bit later on down the season, but Free Wind in the Strawbridge colours. Come on, Havlin.
Yeah, to get the job done then in the Lancashire Oaks. So we're sticking with the fillies and heading back to Sandown with the distaff. And we've got this unbeaten Richard Hannon filly in Heredia, who didn't quite get ready for the Guineas. She's 4 from 4, including a Royal Ascot success, despite veering across. That suggests for me she's still a little bit green. There's still more improvement to come. She could be top draw.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, the win 2 starts ago at York, how she managed to win from that pocket she was in and fairly flew home was great. She came out, she's done really well from a high draw. Big query there, isn't there, as far as the ground is concerned. The first few days of the meeting, you couldn't win drawn high, and all of a sudden there was a change as far as the high drawn runners were concerned. Very, very strange. Anyway, she's looked as if she can continue to climb up through the ladder. The one in there who we probably haven't seen the best of is Grand Dame for John Gosden. Thrown in the deep end, give her excuses for getting beat at York. 10-length defeat when we saw her last time at the Royal Meeting, but this is much, much calmer waters. I think Heredia will get the job done again. She's at the top of the market, and I think quite rightly so. Grand Dame will probably chase her home. It looks a bit of a matchup.
Yeah, just looking forward to that distaff. Right, the big betting race on the front of the ITV cameras this weekend is the Old Newton Cup at Haydock. 17 runners, a mile and a half is the trip, a heritage handicap, but a very short price favourite, a progressive one from William Haggis's yard.
Yeah, Gassi, remarkable. He seems to do it every year now with one of these, doesn't he? And particularly in these colours like Ilarab. He's going for the 5-timer. He looked really, really good when he managed to win at York last time. Probably a bit more strength in depth in the lineup as far as he is concerned. And for that reason, I'm going to go with a horse who's not particularly well drawn. We know that he loves the track. He's got a 100% record. I've done a little bit of digging around regarding the rider. Dion LaRue, who rides for Richard Hughes, said that he's thankfully a young £7 claimer who can think on his own 2 feet. You know, you haven't got to tie him down with orders. He's adaptable to the situation, and he wouldn't put him on board in a 80 grand handicap to the winner if he didn't think that he was good enough. Brentford is flying. He's going to get, hopefully, his forecast conditions. And if he can overcome a tricky draw, it's probably as good a price you're going to get about the potential group horse in a handicap. We know how good he is, given his ideal conditions. And I think Brentford Hope will give you a massive run for your money. Obviously, the likes of Liverpool Knight have got to be respected. Kevin Philippart de Foy has done fantastically well with horses that he's taken off from other trainers. But yeah, could be he's only had limited winners on the track. What a way to get one of your first few wins on the board in the old Newton Cup. So Dion LaRue is a £7 claimer to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, I'll be having a little bit of Brentford Hope. Got his conditions once again. Different horse, isn't he, when he can get his toe into the ground. Right, the big one then, say the best to last. It is the Eclipse. A smaller field than we're expecting towards the beginning of the week. No Coolmore runner for the first time since 2015, but what a great race, Jason. 2 classic winners, 5 Group 1 winners, a very progressive horse from Sir Michael Starch. Just a 6 go, lots of quality though.
It's a brilliant race, absolutely brilliant race. And, you know, you wouldn't mind getting the leg up on any of them in here. You know, imagine getting the leg up on Lord North, knowing how good he is, and he could well be the outsider of the field. It's remarkable, isn't it? So I worked the way down through them. Alan Kerr is one of those you don't want to get into a battle with. Bay Bridge is on a bit of a recovery mission, but it was a decent effort. Mishriff, he's on the recovery for John and Thady Gosden. Verdini down the bottom. Now, they paid a fortune to supplement him. However, El Bodigon was in second over in the French Derby. Remember, we saw him come over and run at York. He ran an absolute stinker, didn't he? Maybe he's just better in France, but he's an absolute pony. So a big question mark regarding the form of that French Derby win. For me, I don't think you could have scripted or written a better race. 3-year-old, £10 weight for age allowance from the older boys, 1.25 miles up the hill with his high gallop in action. It's absolutely tailor-made for Native Trail, isn't it? I think we're going to see something special. I hope he opens up to absolutely drub the older brigade, and they're a good bunch as well, but I'm hoping for fireworks.
Yeah, I know you like these classic generations, don't you, when you're taking on the older horses. Remember the day are last year. So the boys in blue, sticking with them.
Absolutely. Look, I was lucky enough to bump into William Buick, and I said he wasn't. I said I know that he won the Irish 2000 Guineas, but he didn't really impress me in winning. And he was a bit prickly regarding that because it's obviously one of the horses that he really likes. And I said, but he did hit the line strongly. You know, this is the perfect test for him. I didn't hide the fact that I thought he should have run in the Derby earlier on. Now, who knows where this will open up for him to go later on. The French horse is going to want it to turn into a sprint. He came from a little way back in the French Derby to come through. Alan Kerr, he needs probably 1.3 miles to be at his absolute best. So he's going to be going and give you something to aim at. And Bay Bridge put up his best performance over this track. So it's an absolute cracker. But when the taps are turned on to the run, I hope Buick gets down in that Stevie Cawthon drive and gets the job done.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, isn't it? Cracker. Can't wait for that. 3:35 tomorrow, the Group 1 Eclipse. What would be your idea? 7 races we've looked at. Any idea of your strongest bet on the card?
I think that I'd have to say Native Trail rates the nap on the card. You go for the big one, you're going for class. And if I thought one that was complete, well, not overlooked in the market, but he's a decent price. Double Cherry has just as good a profile as Sea King. One's going to be a red hot favourite. One's going to be 6-7 to 1. They've both got exactly the same profile and they're improving. And one looks a touch of an easier conveyance from A to B than the other one. So Double Cherry give you a big run for your money, but Native Trail class will rise to the top.
Brilliant stuff. Looking forward to some great racing on Saturday afternoon. Jason will be in front of the ITV cameras and be joined us next week as well, because we've got the July meeting at Newmarket. The action does come thick and fast throughout this superb summer of racing action. Enjoy the Eclipse, enjoy all the racing this weekend, whatever you're back in. The best of luck.